You know, often people will ask me, why did I start Revelation TV? And I would say, I didn't. It was something that God wanted to start.
Well, for me, the channel started 4 months before the launch date. All of a sudden, Howard was gone. He was gone day and night.
First of all, I had to have what is called an Ofcom license. And so I applied for an Ofcom license after much ado, and it came through, much to my disappointment, I'll be honest, that's the way it was. And then when that came through, then I set about trying to raise some money.
Who on earth would start a channel? If you're not a businessman, if you're not an investor or a millionaire, you would never go ahead and start a channel. But Howard said to me, do you know what? There's no one ready to invest. He said, it's you and I, Les.
So I said, okay, to Leslie, let's remortgage this house.
People say to me, when did you hear from God that you were called to Christian TV? I said, I never did. I didn't hear from God because I wasn't particularly involved. But then as time went on, and I'm only talking a few weeks after the launch, I felt so sorry for Howard. He said, more or less, we've run out of money.
This is one of the hardest things. I had to tell my wife, Leslie, that we could possibly lose our home.
We were fostering at the time, and I thought, well, maybe the Lord will move me into Revelation TV and I won't be fostering anymore. And on the very day that I started to get involved, 6 weeks after the channel had launched, I got a call from social services and said, could you take 4 more? And I just, oh, wow. And so we had 9 foster children, 4 children of our own. And I was literally answering the phones in my living room, which was a makeshift office. I had a baby tucked under one arm, a toddler wrapped around my leg, knowing that I had to do a school run. But we worked together. We worked day and night. And I didn't really fear that we would lose our home, although I knew, of course, that was on the cards, because God spoke to Howard about starting Christian television channel. And I knew that if God had spoken to Howard, then God would be at the helm.
Apart from Leslie, also who got stuck in, I got a phone call.
Well, it was a stilted conversation that I had with Howard. I didn't know who he was and he didn't know who I was. But at the end of it, I did agree that the next time I was in London, that I would go and visit him and we could talk and see how God might work things out.
We went to their home in Surbiton and we saw this couple we'd never met before, and they outlined a vision for a television station. And I thought, wow, Gordon, what are we getting ourselves into?
I never imagined that the TV station would grow as it has. I thought I was getting involved with a small charity when it began.
So what happened next is that day by day, money was coming in from the viewers. It was starting to really pick up.
If you ask me about money, I'm fine. But if you ask me about graphic machines and edit suites and or getting the picture quality right and the sound, they're all things that I've had to dramatically learn.
I suppose the biggest challenge is that in television, you have to have expensive equipment. You know, cameras, lights, and then the studios as well.
Over the years, every time we've had a need, every time we've shared with the viewers, then the Lord in the most amazing way has touched people and the finances have been met.
It was just very clear one day. He said, I want you to leave London, I want you to get out of London with the studio, and I want you to get out of debt. There was 2 things there. And I said to the Lord, well, I know how to get out of London because we could come here to our home, which we did, but I didn't know how to get out of debt. So within, a couple of years of being here, we were out of debt.
We had the whole of the Revelation TV in the house. We had the schedulers up in one of the bedrooms. The wardrobe was a makeshift tape storage unit. We had the office staff in the front room. I mean, it was absolutely crawling with people. And of course, we were having to live there.
What became available was an opportunity to move into this huge studio premises not too far from here in New Malden. And it meant that we had 10,000 square feet, proper high ceilings, proper offices and everything. It was a bit dilapidated, but we had a peppercorn rent to pay, and we were there on a temporary basis.
And the time came, of course, where the owners, the landlords, took the studio back from us, and we came to Spain.
We had to go to Spain because we needed to get out from Ofcom.
And we were absolutely grateful to God for this studio that we have now. an underground car park, but it's not ideal.
And it was all right in the very early stages, but as the studio grew, so did the staff, and there wasn't enough space, so we had to go and rent separate accommodation or office space for the staff.
So once again, we got together as a team and we sought God as to what the next step should be.
And so I approached the viewers one day and said, how about having our own studio?
And we were excited at the response they gave us. They showed they were standing with us for the new studio.
By having our own studios that were purpose-built, we can actually say what we want, what would be ideal for the channel. Remember, we're a 24-hour channel, 365 days a year, so we need to be making programs, not just the live ones, but simultaneously, as live is going out, making pre-records.
Edit suites, post-production facilities,
Rooms for offices where we could be united together as a team.
all under one roof would be great.
And also to be having an audience and going back to having musicians in the studios as well.
Well, in the midst of all this, the Charity Commission got in touch and they announced investigation. I was shocked. We were all shocked. I guess I see myself as the money person within Revelation TV, and therefore if there was money missing, then the finger was pointing very much at myself.
Initially, I felt so sorry for Gordon and Lorna, and particularly Gordon, because out of all the people that have helped us over the years and have spent more time on Revelation TV than their own business, was like a slap in the face to them.
But I knew the truth, and the rest of us on the staff did. We tried to say to the Charity Commission, why don't you do all of your investigations, but don't go public? They insisted to put out a press release. It spoke about fraudulent activity. It spoke about misappropriation of funds. They were serious matters.
I'm a great believer in prayer, and I knew God would come through for us because He is the God of the breakthrough.
We as a TV station know that we're innocent of the charges against us, but it's another fact to be able to prove that, and that's what we're seeking to do at this moment of time.
We took the initiative to go live and explain it and be vulnerable and be before our viewers.
There was a right for viewers to be concerned, because there is always a danger if an official body says something, there must be some truth in it. And yet viewers showed that they'd seen enough and believed enough in Revelation TV and those who run Revelation TV and the presenters to know that we're men and women of God, and we wouldn't dare do anything in our work to a holy God which in any way was going to compromise His work. And so they stood with us.
What was amazing, apart from the fact that more support came in for the general fund than ever before during this period, and at the same time, the building fund, although we weren't pushing it because we'd sort of almost had the rug pulled beneath us and we'd lost a little bit of the verve, if you like, to continue with the building fund, but the money kept coming in. So it was like, hang on a sec, God's doing something here.
I was just praising God that despite the shadow of the Charity Commission investigation, we were on track, the viewers were behind us, and we really started to feel that this studio would happen, the building would be built.
As much a surprise to any of us, that day arrived where the money had come in to achieve phase one, which was to buy the land.
We went live on air in a programme, shared the vision, and we've already said the viewers' response was the most amazing response that we could imagine. We talked in that programme about a possible piece of land that the studio could be built on. It turned out that piece of land wasn't right, and we didn't proceed with it. And so we eventually found another piece of land that we felt was the right one. At that point, the Charity Commission came back and said, oh, wait a minute, this might be a failed appeal. Whatever do you mean, we said? Well, they said, you appeal for money for the first piece of land. If you're not going to build on that one, we're not sure that you can use the money for the second piece of land.
We fought against the failed appeal and it was overturned. And we bought the land. Praise God.
And what we're sensing now is God has said, it's time for you to put your roots down. It's time for you to have a place of your own.
We're now going to have a proper facility and make professional looking programs with great content, having the security of not being told to move on.
I very much see God in this. The plans have been drawn up, we've got the land, the money is coming in for phase 2, which is the building of the building.
I see the new studio as a future for the next generation, so that they will be able to tell their children, their grandchildren, the good news of Jesus.
You know, I have to say a really big thank you, and I mean this most sincerely, to all of our viewers that have stood with us through these difficult times. It's a little bit like a film in that it has an intro where things a little bit sticky, story goes on, it's great, we improve, but there's a few really big bad bits in the film, and this is what's been the story of the growth of Revelation TV, against all the odds, against even the false accusations that have been made, and yet our viewers, as I say, who have been really discerning, but also at the same time have been faithful in supporting in prayer and in finances to make this a reality, to make a big difference to Christian television, especially for the United Kingdom. God called me, as it were, to the English-speaking audiences, and so I thank you all for standing with us, and especially for being here today.